Hello, I'm Jenna Marina Lee, and I'm here today with none other than our Big 12 champs from UCF Rowing, head coach Mara Allen, Luna Kuiper, and Ines Martin. We are so excited to talk about such a successful season that you guys have had, and obviously what's to come, which we're also excited about too. But before we do that, I want to rewind a minute because Mara, you got your first head coaching opportunity here a couple years ago. We're approaching your anniversary.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to hear from you when you were thinking about what I want a Mara Allen-led program to look like. What are some of the things that I want to, our program to be known for, or how to shape this and approaching it? Obviously, you've been able to instill some sort of vision for this place that's going successfully. What were some of those things that you really thought, this is what I want this program to be known for?
It's funny, like going through the first year, I didn't necessarily know what I wanted, but I know what it would feel like. And I think it's so hard sometimes. And that was a big challenge for me as a first year head coach, is like putting it into action, putting it into words so that they had something that they could grab onto and be like, oh, okay, that's what we're supposed to do. And that's where I think the biggest learning came for me last year, was like being able to verbalize what I wanted them to be and how to just act on a day-to-day at practice and around training. I wanted to make sure that it was a team that people wanted to cheer for, that like after we left a hotel or a restaurant or any public space, that they were fans of us. And so much of that then comes from, okay, what are we doing at practice so that we are fans of each other, and how we interact with one another. And that comes from seeing each other work really hard, from putting in the attitude, like having a really good attitude, having a really big effort, and through all the ups and downs, always be aware of how you're impacting not only yourself, but others around you. And I think sometimes we either do one or the other, where we only think about ourselves or we only think about other people, but that balance is really important. And so I wanted to, I'm proudest to lead a team. Obviously that's fast, but that's fast. And people are excited for being fast because of their interactions with the team, of how they present themselves on whether it's Instagram or in person, or like I said, like at a hotel, just that there is a sense of, wow, those people are such great people and they're really tough and strong. And that was kind of what we were looking for.
I have a little bit of a cheat code for this interview because I sit 2 desks away from your assistant coach, Tess. And she was telling me that you, at the end of last season, before everybody went to summer, you had like individual meetings, and that you kind of, I guess, presented them 2 ways.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about what those conversations are?
Sat down with a handful of returning athletes who I knew would be impactful in this year's campaign. And I said, like, we've got two options ahead of us. We've got one option where you come back and you enjoy the summer, you go do whatever you want, you come back and we take the fall, we get back into shape, and I get mad, and then you have to get more in shape, and then we do some workouts, and like by mid-October, late October, we're like, okay, we're kind of close to our PRs, great. Okay, we come back, everyone takes their break and winter break, and then they come back, we've lost fitness back to where we were in October again, so we spend all of January getting through that, and we get to Sunshine State, and we're like battling and in it, and it's like, okay, we win some, we lose some, and it's, it's a mixed bag, and then I get mad again, and then we have to like do more, and we're kind of scraping by at the end where, okay, we get to May, and we're finally like PRing and getting faster and feeling like, hey, it's good. And maybe we win the Big 12 championship, maybe we don't, but regardless, if we win that, we're going to be celebrated. We're going to be celebrated, and we might be going to the NCAA championship for the first time no faster than we were this year. And that's a real possibility, because we were ahead of the teams that we beat this year. We were ahead of them last year throughout the season. So that's one option, and it is what it is. Like, or you figure out that this is something that's going to take a lot of work, but it's really worth doing. And you train really hard all summer, and you come back, and we're going to do the first workout, 3x3K, feet out, not recorded. And it's like, you put the handle down and you're like, oh my Lord, that is faster than I was almost all last year. And you look around and you see that other team members have done that as well. And it's like this feeling of this year is going to be different. And then we go through fall, we scrimmage Miami, and we see how we do with that. And then we come back and we're training, and all of a sudden we are hitting PRs left and right. Like people, it's like, oh, PR there. Oh my goodness. Wow. She's really stepped up. We get to spring and we get to Sunshine State and we sweep it. and we beat Alabama and we beat Dartmouth and we beat these teams that are coming that we've never beaten before or that we didn't beat last year. And we go through and we're like, we are the Sarasota. At the time it was Sunshine State, but what ended up being Sarasota 2K League, we come and we win the whole thing. And we try to do it by open water in every event. And then we go on to the rest of our season. Like maybe we're a little bit too close to Tennessee or Texas, or maybe like we take care of SMU and Alabama, and we see where we are against it, kind of naming all the people I knew we'd be racing. And then we get to the Big 12. We get to the Big 12 championships, and we sweep the regatta, and it is, and we're like open water, lots of open water, and we're going to the NCAA championship ranked higher than the team has ever been ranked before. Let's go do that. But I was like, but the choice is yours. And we'll know on day one which path you're choosing. Like this won't be, we don't have to wait till February. We don't have to wait till May. Like we will know August, whatever it was, 19th, where you fall in terms of like what you see for this team and what you think it's capable of. So like last year when the team started and that first 3x3K was like, we don't record it, so we still don't, we can't compare, but it just was like, this was definitely faster. I think that put us on such a good footing for the year of what the team wanted to do and what they set out to do back in May of last year.
Ines and Luna, do you guys feel, it seems like the team responded to that messaging? Do you guys remember what your thoughts were when she presented those two options?
Yeah, I remember all of us, in May deciding like we have to get right back to work. And that entire summer we trained harder than probably we'd ever done all the summers ago, and like it paid off so much. Like people that were not in higher boats did the same amount of work that people were in the higher boats, and it ended up going so well for them as well, because now they're in boats that maybe they thought they weren't going to be in. And it was like so clear. And even in those days that in the summer we were like, oh, we have like a month and a half left, we really don't have a lot of motivation. We made a whole Strava, and like the team was just like, you can do this. Like I've also had a rough day a couple of days ago, this is what got me through it. And like it was just so clear that it was like a new vision, and it was so awesome to see everyone coming back from summer like so ready and so excited for this year. So yeah, I think we all dialed in, and it was great.
I'd like to know, let's take us back to the Big 12 championship. We're not that far removed from it, so hopefully memories are still very fresh. But if you can walk me through, take us back to before the regatta kicks off and when you're getting down to Sarasota and you're processing that morning, or whether you're hearing it from her, what some of her inspirational messaging was. What were you thinking, feeling, visualizing in that moment? Take me back to the morning.
Well, I tend to go through things too quickly, and sometimes I like to take a moment and just realize where I am right now. And especially we're at the course and we're walking around, and we had a walk before we went on the water. I was like, okay, I am here. This is the Big 12 Championships. This is such a cool place to be right now. And just walking around, it's such a beautiful course, and just being able to be there and being able to show myself after so much work was just such a cool thing. So yeah, I always try to stop myself and just look back at what it's done and let it hit, okay, I'm here right now, this is what we're gonna do. So yeah, what Luna said, just embracing every second, every race that would go by, just being so happy for the team and saying, okay, they need us and me to make my best performance out there, so I'm doing it for them. So it was a lot of gratitude in that moment. And when we had finally been announced that we did win, it was just how can we soak in that moment the most that we can? Yeah. Because we did work so hard for it, and it felt like we were doing it for each other. So, yeah.
So to hear what your vision that you laid out prior to, and then to see that come to fruition for you, what did that feel like?
It's so interesting because throughout the year, I think there were so many times that I remember the first time we got ranked at 15th, it was us. I know I said it, but I felt very, oh my gosh, it almost felt like there was now pressure in a way that before was just we're just doing everything we can and like make it as intense as possible. But I think it really does like re-strengthen that belief of like, if you really dial in and go for something, like it's nothing, we haven't achieved anything yet. We're just ranked 15th. We aren't 15th in the country, but like to be in that arena, recognizing those moments of like, okay, we are doing it. We are on our way. This is really where it's really impressive. So then when we went and did it at Big 12s and did what we needed to do and had done what we had laid out, at that point it felt like, no, this is what we need to do. It wasn't like, I think beforehand I was so nervous, like more nervous than I had been, I think, for any race all season, because it felt like, oh my gosh, we are in a position to absolutely do what we wanted to do, but doing it is a whole nother ball game. So I think I was definitely more nervous than I thought I would be. But then it was also interesting because like that was my 11th or Big 12 championship, having done 9 at Texas. In a great way, it felt familiar. I was like, yeah, this is what we do at Big 12s. Like,
And I'm sure you guys are not picking up the vibe that she's nervous, or were you?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's always a little bit, but like it's good to know that like even the coach
I'm
is,
not
like,
someone who can like I'm not someone who can like pretend not to be nervous. I would try, and I would just then pace way more, and I want them to understand like being nervous doesn't mean you're not a high performer.
Exactly.
And like it's absolutely okay. And there are athletes on the team that I'm sure are a little bit calmer and more relaxed and be like, coach is nervous, but I think it would be weirder for them if they saw me just like, hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah.
They're like, no, this is normal. She's not freaking out, but like, yeah, it's intense, and it's worse as a coach because as an athlete, you at least got to do something versus I just have to watch and wait. And so like as the morning goes on, it's just like before when I coached the 4s, it was so much better because then my race is at least first. And so anytime they're like, should we reverse order because of the wind? I'm like, yes, yep, we should definitely let the 8s go first. Yep, that would be better for me personally. So yeah.
So as it's going on and it's sort of sinking in of, all right, this is going to be not only a win, but a win in such a unbelievable fashion, sweeping fashion. What kind of statement do you guys think that you're making with a performance like that?
I think it's definitely like a big deal. Like, okay, it's the Big 12 Championships. Like a lot of people know about the conference, and I feel like even here at UCF, like if we do races at Sarasota or like Tennessee, they don't really know what it means. But if we get to say we're Big 12 champions, like everyone knows what that means. So I think that's like such a big thing. Like they don't know what our opponents do, they don't know anything, but like we get to say it, and like
That's very cool.
I think it means that like UCF can play with the big dogs. Like we swept Big 12s, and now we're ready for even bigger challenge, which is NCAA's. And I think Big 12s was our way of proving like, okay, we're not done yet, and we seek the challenge. We're not going to win by a small margin. It was what's the biggest open water we can get, so that the higher ranked schools can see like, okay, like UCF means business. And when we race them, it's going to be so much fun, but it's going to be a real challenge.
There was, I think, some clips of some of your speech to the team talking about hunger, eyes on the prize, game on, which I was like, yes, let's go. When you say like, you know, we're not done yet, and this is what we're looking for, and we got to kick it up a notch in the second half of this, what does that look like to you?
I think it's them, you know, something I've said to them a handful of times, like one of the biggest differences between us and any other team is just that other teams have done this before. I think this is like not a young team in terms of age, a little bit on this young side, but in terms of just experience that, you know, we thankfully have athletes who have raced at like pretty big regattas before, like national championships for their home countries. But doing this as a group at an 8, that like I know what the level, I know at NCAA's people come out swinging, and I want to make sure that they're not not intimidated by just how hard people are going to go. And people aren't necessarily going to row away from you, but like they are going to go, and like we're going to go with them, and it's going to be awesome, and we're going to do everything we can and making sure that we have the best races we can have, and we can't control what other people do. But I think I'd be remiss if I didn't try to prepare them for and remind myself too of just what the level can be at a national championship, and part of like the, you know, wanting them to really go out and make a statement at Big 12 was for their own confidence of like, okay, like we want to race these other teams up here. We want to separate ourselves from the teams that weren't ranked or weren't going to NCAAs. So that was like a big focus of the weekend, just to make sure that it's like, okay, we're not doing as little as possible, we're doing as much as possible, because we haven't had a ton of close racing, and we're going to get that, hopefully we're going to get ourselves into some close races. And I just, trying to prepare them as best I can for that.
Being that you have competed in national championships before, I know, and then you, as you mentioned, you know, coaching, you've been a part of coaching staffs that have been there too. What is something that you are looking forward to them getting out of the experience of being there?
So I think what's cool about NCAAs is how big and small the regatta might feel. For us, it'll feel big just because we don't, this year especially, we didn't go one of the big like 22 team type regattas. I mean, Sarasota 2K was pretty big on that scale, but this will be like Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3 all in one regatta, just so our sport is spread out amongst the country. We don't have like a bunch of other Division 1 rowing teams that are that close to us. So getting to understand like the community behind us and how many people are doing this kind of work all of the time, so that especially when we go into training next year, it's different when you're like, okay, you know, these other teams train, you know, Dartmouth trains, you know, Harvard trains, you know, Michigan, Virginia, Oregon State, you know, they're all training. But when you get to like, oh no, I've raced them. I saw what they did in the second 500. I saw how hard they went out in the first 500. I saw what they did in the third 500. It just becomes that much more visceral, and hoping that that'll just build the experience and the depth of knowledge on our team, so that, you know, that throughout the regatta we can get better, and then take the regatta and move it into next year, so that even next year we're still moving forward.
I want to take a quick second to just acknowledge, you know, it's been since 2019 that this program has gotten conference championship and gone to NCAAs. You have Lauren Roman, your staff, who was part of that. But not only her, you know, Allie Dirksen, who works in our Varsity Nights Charge On Fund program, and Rachel Klunder, who, I mean, we're not getting rid of her, and we're very happy for that. You know, she was your director of ops, and she's still very much part of the program. And these three in particular are, you know, sort of a bridge in some ways to that era of UCF Rowing that did win 5 conference championships in a row, and now, you know, they're kind of here for all of you. And I'm just wondering, you know, what are maybe some things that you've gotten out of them, or have you learned from them about UCF Rowing as you've come in to try to make it your own, and then be that bridge, whoever wants to start with that?
I'll start with that. One of the things that drew me so much to this position was seeing how many alumni of the program were still around, like whether they were working in the department or working directly with the team. Like there was such passion and care for who was going to take over this program and move it forward, because they cared so much still about it, even though their experience came, it was like 4 or 5, 6 years ago, that this still mattered so much to them because of the profound effect it had on them. And I think that feels like there's a lot of responsibility in that. But sometimes on the day-to-day you can forget about it. But then when the team was able to accomplish something like this, and you just see, like one of the alums of the program was like actually our dog sitter, which is just so funny. But like, and even she would just like left us a note, like that was like clean sweep, like just realizing like how much it matters to the alums that we can, I don't know, like carry on their legacy. And I think that is such a like great, I don't know, thing to carry with us and recognize it's not just about us.
Yeah, and I think like a while ago we did like an alumni row. The amount of people that showed up with so much energy, like everyone was just ready to get on the water again and like race each other, and it was like such an intensity, and I was like just like everyone seemed to like kind of miss it, but also like, oh wow, we did this like a while ago and now we get to see other people do it as well. And like there was so much love for UCF. Like you can even feel it on campus, like any other game or whatever, there's like always, I can feel the energy of UCF, just like no matter how old you are, like everyone feels it. So yeah, that's a great thing.
Yeah, I think all of our rowing alumni just bleed black and gold so clearly, and the support has been huge from them, and like there's just so much heart, and like it's so fun. Like when we do a race, we're also doing it for them, and maybe like they didn't get to go to NCAAs, or they went to NCAAs so long ago. It's like if we're getting top 15, we're all getting top 15. They're also included in that, so it's just great.
What are you most looking forward to about NCAAs and just your aspirations for the program as a whole? You know, we're getting close to the end of this season, so playing it forward to next year. I don't want to get too far ahead, obviously, but what your aspirations are for while you're here.
Well, I think just like doing what we're capable of at NCAAs, just like the 3 best races we have had all season. Like we've been building up to it for so long that I feel like now that we finally actually get to like peak and like actually do it and actually show ourselves like in front of the whole nation, that's like such a cool thing to look forward to. And like as a team, like we've worked so hard to be able to do this.
Yeah, I think this year it's such a privilege getting to go and just doing what we've been doing all season, and even just a little bit better, and racing teams that like we have never beaten before that have been invited or something. Like I just think that would be really cool, and I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I'm excited for them to like race 6 boats across 3 times in a weekend with the top teams in the country. I think like so often in sports, like coaches get involved and we make it so much about the winning and like, okay, like you got to do like whatever. But at the end of the day, like they're athletes because they like competing themselves. Like it's, yes, trying to win is the fun part. Winning is obviously, chef's kiss, fantastic, right? But like just being in the ring, being on the field, being in the race, with some really incredible competitive teams of that many, like we haven't done that yet. So for them to have that experience, like I know for me as an athlete, that was always so memorable, and I'm so excited that they're going to get to go do that.
Yeah, and I think like comparing it to like international races I've done, I always get there and I realize like every single rower that got there has worked so hard for it, and being able to be surrounded by people that have like the same goal and the same ideas, that's just like there's nothing like it. And I feel like the NCAAs could be like similar to that, because it's so many teams from like different places and everyone has worked so hard to get there, and then being able to race those people, that's just like an unreal experience, I think.
Thank you all so much. On behalf of Night Nation, please accept my good luck and best wishes to you. And we can't wait to see what happens. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.